Hello, Ariel, and nice to meet you. This is also, I guess, a farewell. This will be the only video feedback I get to you, but it will hopefully propel you to the end of the term. You're doing really well. I'm glad you're catching up. Ariel, there's a lot to like about this, and before I forget to comment, I like your choice of images. I think the fairly severe navigation, matches this high modern interior. It sets the tone well. And I like your simple rollover navigation. The charcoal becomes black and the rollover. I like that you have, child pages. This is definitely week 6, so I encourage you to submit it for that. And just everything about it I like. You've been able to import a logo. One little challenge would be to make it on a transparent background so that the logo could float over a background color or a photograph equally well. And if you have time, take a look at SVG, vector file format that supports transparency and also scales up or down without any degradation of the edge or pixelation because it's a vector file, right? I also really admire your willingness to format a menu using CSS and HTML. That's a tall order. Ideally, you would get your print typography to match your web typography, and it can be done. But aim towards perhaps in the next week using the corporate typefaces. I think it's Athelas and there's another town corporate typeface. See if you can implement those. Tall order, I like the center positioning of everything. I like at best where the photographs bleed off the edges. In other words, maybe if I zoom in here, this to me I think is a more effective arrangement of ingredients. Proportionally, where the images bleed off left and right. And it can be done too. I like it when the navigation bar bleeds left and right too. I think it's a cleaner way of presenting information, visual information, and without any borders. Be careful about squashing photographs. This looks a little compressed to me vertically. And sorry about the web host watermark. Nothing ultimately is for free, right? One of the other commendable things too, I think, was you had the beginnings, I think, of a footer here. This information can all be put in a footer with a sitemap. Now, when I see your code, I was struck by it in a way because you've got the idea of an embedded style sheet. And really all you've got to do is extract this. Well, it's probably up here. And there is a bit of, code that will have to precede it, and take it, extract it, and put it in an external style sheet, which you'll name, and then in the head of your HTML, you'll have the reference to the CSS. This, this is not a proper HTML page. I'm surprised that it works as well as it does. I would expect to see, remember the parts of a web page are a head, a body, okay, and now that you know it, a footer. So I don't see those parts. And you've got the document type. Keep up your annotations, your meta comments. Those will really help you. And at least put a meta comment before your head and where you close it, perhaps, between your head and your body. Just to keep you, aware of where you are for your own reference on your HTML page. Now, a CSS is not going to have, well, I shouldn't say it won't have a head, but it doesn't have those parts. It's simply a list of styles, really, a CSS. The structure of the page, the content, remains on your HTML. Ariel, this is host code. Anything that it's probably a script, and you ignore it. it's placed there dynamically by your web host. GeoCities does it a little differently. It's in the header of your document. So I see there's more to this host code appears strangely in the middle of your HTML. I hope it doesn't confuse you. I mean, how can it not, right? It's confusing to me. But I see that you've got, here's pretty much the body of your HTML page. So I would probably expect to see a body tag somewhere, here and then ending it here, or ending it here before the footer. Hope that's clear. But just, make sure that you've got the head. It's not header. It's head. Open and close head tags. And I think the style sheet, the embedded style sheet can be in the head. That's fine. Try it out that way at least. And then you've got what little content there is, which is the photograph. Images are considered content, so you probably want to keep them on the HTML page, reference to them. And any text that you've got, of course, will be on your HTML page. The idea is to separate style from content, with the content remaining on the HTML page and the style being contained in the CSS. Ariel, I see that you've done ample code validation, and I think you found new HTML. That's one of many, that you can use. It's helpful, I think. It's, it's like a detective program. It helps you correct your errors. And it also, I think, it's instructive, too. If you want to know what something means, there are all these links to what, the definition of the terms are. So I think 3 screen grabs is ample. And I wanted to acknowledge that you had submitted 3. Ariel, continue to code validate and browser test if you can. And if you want to, work on this could become a portfolio piece. Continue to browser test and code validate. Great job. Glad you're catching up.